I am melting in this Texas heat. Something is going on with these birds. There has been an incident because they will not shut up. Seriously, what is happening with this hair? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are taking a break from the stair makeover because when this video goes live, I'm actually gonna be on vacation, but I didn't wanna leave you guys hanging. So today, I wanna talk about something that I get a lot of questions about, and that is, how do I start DIY and what tools do I need? Okay, this is the setup that I have for my tools in my garage. I would love to have a shop one day, but this works for now. The tools down there, up there, and over here. And I'm aware that most people do not have the amount of tools that I have. But the good news is you don't need all these tools if you're wanting to start beginner projects. I've collected mine along the way. I get tools as presents for basically Christmas and Mother's Day and my birthday, and I love it. So that's how I've gotten a lot of mine. So that's a good way to get started, is to ask for them as gifts. But I want to talk about the main ones that I use and what I would recommend to you guys if you were just starting out. Oh, before we get into specific tools, I want to recommend, if you don't have any tools and you're just starting out, to pick a brand and stick with it. And that's because if they're battery operated, you can switch out the batteries in between all the tools and you won't have to buy a separate battery, because a lot of times tools are sold without the battery. Now, I have tools, I'm not loyal to any one brand. I have tools that are all different brands, but I find myself reaching for my DeWalt set the most because for my birthday, I got a big set that had the DeWalt tools and the batteries to go with it. And so I just grabbed those and a couple batteries because I know I can switch back and forth. So the number one thing that I would recommend, and I probably use this more than any other tool that I own, is my drill. I own a couple of them and I like them for different reasons. One is lighter than the other. You don't have to have a DeWalt version. You can get an inexpensive one at Walmart, but I use this more than anything because there are so many attachments for the drill. People use them to clean, and I've used them in so many of my projects.
I'd also recommend getting a set of bits like this, so no matter what kind of screw you're using, you'll always have the right bit for it. And also a set like this, I use these all the time.
As an added bonus, which is not part of my official recommendations, but also I love this impact driver because it's stronger than the drill when you're really needing to push things in. And so I will use these together. I will use the drill to drill my pilot hole and then use the impact driver to drive the screw in. So if you're looking at getting a kit that comes with both, it definitely is worth it to have both. The second thing that you're going to need if you're looking to start DIY is something to cut with. Now, I've thought about this a lot because I own multiple saws, and while I use my miter saw the most, if I was recommending one saw, if you only wanted to invest in one, I would suggest a circular saw. I use it all the time because it can basically do what a jigsaw does, what a table saw does, what a miter saw does, maybe just a tiny bit less accurately, but for a beginner, it's perfect to have. If a circular saw intimidates you, which I totally get, a lot of people start off with a jigsaw. Mine is about 1,000 years old. It seems like it was my grandpa's, but it still works just fine. The benefit of a miter saw is it can cut different kinds of materials, wood or metal. You just have to change out the blade.
Another saw that I would recommend is a miter saw. I use mine on every single project that I do. Because it's super accurate, because you can hold your wood up against a fence, most of the things that you can do on a miter saw you can do on a circular saw. That's why I recommended a circular saw if you were only going to get one. But I love my miter saw, use it all the time, couldn't do a project without it. Whether I'm doing angles for an accent wall or I'm beveling, crown molding, useful no matter what I'm doing.
It's important to remember about your saws that they require maintenance. You have to change the blade. Recently I was getting frustrated with my table saw. It wasn't working right. I thought it was me, but then I realized the blade had gotten pretty dull and I switched the blade out and it cut through wood like butter. The third tool that I'm going to recommend is a sander. Now this is a random orbital sander, which means it vibrates in circles, and you have to have different pads for it to work. They can go higher, and that's gonna make like a very, very smooth finish, or if you're needing to strip things off of a surface, you can go lower, 60, 80, and that's really gonna take off paint and different things like that on a surface that you're working on. But I use my sander all the time. It really takes the wood from a very like rough, almost rustic look to a much more finer finish. The last power tool that I'm gonna suggest for a beginner is a nail gun. Now I own multiple and I hook mine up to my compressor, and I feel like that gives it a little bit more power than a battery operated one. However, I understand that you don't want to have to go out and buy a compressor with a nail gun. They do have battery operated ones that work just fine for beginner purposes. And I have used my nail gun in almost every project that I've done in this house. Okay, let's talk about some basic tools, not power tools, that you need if you're going to be starting DIY. The very first one is a tape measure. I'm pretty sure this one came from Dollar Tree. I have them like everywhere all over my house, so very inexpensive, but absolutely necessary. The next thing is a level. Now I have a bunch of different sizes that come in handy in different situations, but you can start off with just a basic one like this. Even if you're not even doing DIY, you just are hanging a picture on the wall, you need a level to make sure that it's straight. The next thing I would recommend are clamps. I have different kinds and different sizes. These are so useful whenever you're nailing or screwing something together. These will hold it together so it doesn't slip and move on you. And they're very inexpensive, especially these. I think these were like $1 a piece, so I have a bunch of those that I use during different projects. You also need a stud finder. I can't do the thing where you knock on the wall and you can hear a difference between if there's a stud behind it or not. I can't do it. So I need a stud finder because I am hanging things on the wall or doing different projects, and I need to know where that stud is to make sure that the project or whatever's hanging on the wall is completely secure and doesn't fall off in the middle of the night. Has it happened to you guys? Because it's definitely happened to me. Next, this is called a speed square, and I love this thing. I use it all the time. You can use it to get like a straight line that's completely, 90 degrees. I use it to mark measurements all the time. It's very, very useful to have. And the very last thing that I'm gonna recommend, which I used to be really bad about, but is safety glasses. I grabbed these off of Amazon. How cute are they? They're like a little animal print because you want to use power tools, but you still want to be cute while you're doing it. So I like these because it's a lot of protection on the side, and it's really important because you don't know what's going to fly up whenever you're cutting something. Your nail gun could shoot out backwards. Who knows? Better not take the chance. I'm working on wearing safety glasses more often. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a little bit more confidence, information that you need to get started on some projects that you've been wanting to try out. And I'm glad to have a resource. When I get this question in the comments, I'll be able to direct people to this video so they can see what they need if they're thinking about starting a project in their homes. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll be back next week, back working on the stairs. It's gonna be so good. See you guys then. Bye.